Remember, save COD charges by sending check or money order or use your credit card.
This is CNN.
A deadly hotspot. Homes and hopes go up in smoke in California's Bay Area.
It's official. Democrat Jerry Brown declares he's a candidate for president again.
Syria reportedly says it expects U.S. hostage Jerry Turner will be set free within a matter of hours. This is Newsday. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.
I'm Bob Cain. Nearly 78,000 acres of land is ablaze in the western United States at this hour. Firefighters are battling flames in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, and California. In all, western wildfires have charred more than 260,000 acres. They've destroyed hundreds of homes, killed at least 15 people. The wooded neighborhoods around Oakland and Berkeley, California, have been ravaged by a fast-moving fire. According to California Governor Pete Wilson, there's been terrible devastation. For the latest on the California firestorm and the toll it's taken, we go live to CNN correspondent Don Knapp in Oakland. Don?
Bob, firefighters appear to have the fire under control this morning. I should not say under control. They have it contained. They've drawn a line around it. It is still not under control. After battling the fire throughout the night, the winds have died down, which has allowed the containment, and they're just trying to wait it out to see if the winds don't blow up again. But all of this after some 600 homes have been destroyed. Losses estimated at $1.5 billion. 10 people confirmed dead. CNN's Greg Lamont was on the fire throughout the night.
A living, hellish nightmare. Hypnotic flames that rendered residents helpless, left to only stand and watch as their well-to-do homes crumbled into ashes. Their lives shattered. Neighborhoods filled with years of memories wiped away in a matter of minutes.
I can tell you the color of every house that's burned down here. I delivered papers to every house along this street, and 2/3 of them are going to be missing.
The wind-driven flames spread so fast, some firefighters had to drop their hoses and run for their lives. Veteran firefighters were in awe of its intensity.
We counted at least from 12 to 20 houses up on this ridge up here in Rock Ridge are totally destroyed, completely gone. Beautiful homes worth anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. Completely gone, completely devastated.
I was in Lebanon, I was in Grenada. It's like someone went over, dropped a couple 500-pounders, followed out with napalm. There's nothing left.
Thousands of people were evacuated. Some spent the night in makeshift shelters. But given the enormity of the fire, the Red Cross says the shelters were not overburdened.
There are fewer than I expected. We're certainly prepared for many, many more, and we do keep taking them in. We're having people come in complaining of smoke inhalation, the smell of smoke in the air, and giving them what help we can. It's getting pretty thick around here. You can almost chew it.
At first light, Governor Pete Wilson took a second look at the devastation that had grown dramatically under the cover of darkness.
You could see terrible devastation. What showed up last night as burning hot spots in that black of night this morning were clearly the charred ruins of hundreds of homes. The Hiller Highlands area in particular looked as though it had been just shaved.
More than 1,000 firefighters from all over Northern California have arrived. In many cases, their emergency vehicles stretched as far as the eye could see. Search and rescue teams will look for more possible survivors and possibly more bodies as the community awoke to the grim reality this wasn't just a bad dream. Greg Lamont, CNN, Oakland.
Governor Pete Wilson has declared Alameda County a disaster area. He says he will ask President Bush, if he hasn't already, he had planned to do that this morning, he will ask President Bush for federal assistance for victims of the fire. Reporting live in the Oakland Hills, Don Knapp, CNN. Back to you, Bob.
Don, as Larry just mentioned in his report, throughout the pre-dawn hours, authorities there were saying that after daylight came, they might learn more about additional victims or survivors of the flames. Has there been anything more on that?
We do know they're opening up some areas for residents to go in to their burned out home. I'm sorry, let me correct that. They're opening up areas that were not burned but were evacuated. but the areas that were burned are still closed. So we really can't say what's happening in those areas. We can only assume that since the fire apparently is not moving at this point, that they are looking, but we just don't know, Bob.
All right, thank you. Correspondent Don Knapp reporting from Oakland. Sharyl.
Former California Governor Jerry Brown joined the 1992 presidential race today, becoming the 6th major Democrat to announce his candidacy. Brown's announcement came outside Philadelphia's Independence Hall. He says he chose that site in honor of Democratic Party founder Thomas Jefferson and the anti-elite, anti-incumbent spirit for which he stood. Brown told supporters that it's time to return to those ideals because he says politicians' quest for greed and power is destroying American democracy.
Our democracy has been the object of a hostile takeover engineered by a confederacy of corruption, careerism, and campaign consultants. And money has been the lubricant greasing the deal. Incredible sums, hundreds of millions of dollars from political action committees, from lobbyists, from wealthy patrons, have flooded into the campaign war chest of Washington's entrenched political elite, Democrats and Republicans alike.
Brown says he will not join other politicians using huge amounts of money to fuel monstrous campaigns. He has vowed not to accept any contributions over $100.
The Bush administration says it is considering several ideas to boost the country's lagging economy, including a possible tax break for middle-income Americans. That announcement comes along with criticism of a Democratic tax cut plan, also pegged to the middle class. The administration is rejecting a proposal by Democratic Senator Lloyd Bentsen. Benson's calling for a $300 tax credit for each child under the age of 18. He also wants to make individual retirement account contributions of $2,000 fully deductible again for all Americans. Benson says he would pay for the tax cuts by trimming the defense budget.
It appears that the hostage trading is on again in the Middle East. Lebanese hostage takers say they will release an American today. That would follow Israel's release today of 15 Arab prisoners. The Reuters news agency quotes Syria's foreign minister as saying that country expects the freed U.S. hostage to be Jesse Turner. The Islamic Jihad for the Liberation of Palestine released a statement yesterday along with a picture of Turner. That statement said that a U.S. hostage will be freed within 24 hours. The same group said a few days ago that Turner would enjoy an hour of freedom to see his family. The same group also holds American Alan Steen. The two men, both professors at Beirut University College, were kidnapped in January of 1987. Upon hearing of the group's promise, the hostages' families expressed hope and caution.
They've played tricks like this before. They keep pointing at different people and release somebody else, and it's happened to my brother several times. So if it's, a twist of fate that they're pointing Jesse Turner and it turns out to be Alan Steen, well, that's great. That's wonderful. But if it isn't and Turner leaves instead of Alan, or maybe even both of them, that would be even wonderful. We'll just have to wait and see.
I thought it might be any one of the hostages, any American or Britain or people in the hostages, or it might be my husband or not, which I still hope that he will be coming out. My husband will be coming out, but who knows when.
There are 3 other U.S. hostages held in Lebanon: Terry Anderson, Thomas Sutherland, and Joseph Scipio. 1 Briton, Terry Waite, and 2 Germans, Thomas Kepner and Heinrich Strubig, are also held captive.
We mentioned a moment ago that Israel today freed 15 Arab prisoners. Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir said that release was, in his words, one step in a series of steps agreed on by the United Nations. That appears to mean the hostage releases are linked to a larger ongoing hostage swap between the major Middle East players. 14 of the Arabs were freed from jails in Israeli-occupied South Lebanon. Another was freed from Israel itself. They were let go hours after the Lebanese hostage takers said they would free an American. Also today, though, Israeli warplanes bombed a Hezbollah guerrilla base in Lebanon. That attack thought to be in response to a bombing attack that killed 3 Israeli soldiers over the weekend. Hezbollah, a pro-Iranian extremist group, claimed responsibility for that attack. But one group of kidnappers, the Islamic Jihad, one which had said it might free a hostage later today, said the Israeli attacks are obstructing efforts to engineer a hostage swap of Westerners and Arabs held by Israel. Still to come on Newsday, the dangers of smoking, creating a possible dilemma in the U.S. Supreme Court as the justices grapple with a case involving health risks and responsibility.
A Republican and ex-Klansman, David Duke, forges ahead with plans for Louisiana's gubernatorial election, while the Republican Party steps back.
Later this hour, more planes, more problems. We'll look at air safety in the U.S.
And an endangered species returns to its natural habitat, but at what cost?
Your attention, please. The 631 will be delayed.
Get some coffee?
No. This gives me a chance to call my broker.
Now?
Sure.
My broker's never in this early.
You have to keep to his schedule?
Top the news this hour, wildfires rage through the tender, dry hills above Oakland and Berkeley, California. At least 10 people have died and nearly 400 homes have been destroyed. Damage is estimated at $1.5 billion. Firefighters are battling fires in 5 western states besides California. More than 260,000 acres have burned. Jerry Brown kicks off his 3rd campaign for the Democratic presidential nod in an appearance outside Philadelphia's Independence Hall. The former governor of California characterizes himself as a political outsider who will do what it takes to bring about real change. Brown says U.S. democracy has been the object of a hostile takeover, and he charges that money has greased the deal. The Islamic Jihad says renewed Israeli air raids in South Lebanon could hamper efforts to resolve the hostage crisis. The Islamic Jihad is the group believed to be holding U.S. citizens Terry Anderson and Thomas Sutherland and Briton Terry Waite. Prior to this warning, another Shiite Muslim group announced it will free one of the 2 U.S. captives it holds by 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 GMT, Monday. The 2 U.S. hostages involved there are Jesse Turner and Alan Steen, both American academics. The Reuters news agency quotes Syria's foreign minister as saying his nation expects that Turner will be the one released.
Back in this country, Wall Street's been struggling.
Beverly Schuch has details from New York.
Thanks, Sharyl. Bob, here on Wall Street, profit-taking and falling bond prices are sending stocks lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average pulling back from Friday's record high. Right now, the Dow is down about 25 points at 3051. Trading volume is only moderate, 120 million shares traded. Decliners outnumbering advancers by a 2-to-1 margin, and the broader and secondary markets are also posting losses. Taking a look at a couple of companies reporting earnings today, Chase Manhattan coming out of the red. The big money center bank earned $136 million in the 3rd quarter after cutting its loan loss reserves by 60%. Chase stock is up a 1/4 point at 18 3/4. And Time Warner cutting its earnings losses by a 1/3. The media giant losing $62 million in the 3rd quarter, most of the loss coming from a restructuring charge in its publishing unit. Time Warner stock is up 1 point at 85 3/8. A big drop in bond prices today, partly due to traders' concerns over tax cut proposals for the middle class. The Treasury's bellwether 30-year bond is down 1 1/4 points. The yield is up to 8.06%. The big 3 U.S. automakers are expected to post 3rd quarter losses this week, totaling more than $2 billion. And analysts say that loss could push the troubled companies to a record $5.7 billion shortfall for the year. That is the latest in business news. We'll have another update in 1 hour. Coming up tonight on Moneyline with Lou Dobbs, the first part of our series on the business of infertility, a multi-billion-dollar industry that is almost completely unregulated. That's tonight on Moneyline at 7 and 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And taking one last check of the Dow shows that right now it is down 22 points. I'm Beverly Schuch reporting live from the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, no one will be surprised to hear that former U.S. House Speaker Jim Wright's new job involves politics. CNN's Tony Clark fills us in.
He's going to, here he is. Hi, Trent.
After a lifetime in politics, 34 years as a congressman and 2.5 years as Speaker of the House, Jim Wright has taken on a new role,
term paper,
that of professor.
Term papers will be due on November 18.
Once a week at Texas Christian University, Wright teaches the subject he knows best, Political Science 3103, Congress and the President.
He has absolutely the grandest sense of history, and he's extremely witty.
More than 120 students signed up for the semester-long lecture series. The text is a book Wright wrote, you and your congressman.
These are
Required readings include legislative bills and excerpts from the congressional record.
I'm not going to try to cram my ideas down their throats, but I do hope that I can inculcate in them a healthy respect for ideas and for thoughts, and a habit of doing their own thinking.
What Wright offers is not just a keen understanding of the political process, but an insider's view of history and those who helped shape it.
If I can recite some little vignette, something that person said to me or that individual did that makes him or her come alive as a human being, I believe I sense that these students light up like Christmas trees.
Wright's experiences in politics are also being prepared for display at TCU's library. Workers are pouring through boxloads of photographs and papers and shelves filled with awards and gifts collected during what Wright calls his ringside seat to history.
There are times when I miss it. I knew when I left that I would miss it.
But Wright seems to have adapted quickly to his new role as teacher. He seems natural working with the students.
Their questions are infinitely better than those one usually gets from the Washington Press Code. They aren't preoccupied with the fluff and the froth of the daily momentary news.
Wright's departure from Congress amid an ethics probe doesn't seem to matter here.
That doesn't even really bother me. That's not something that I came here to learn about.
Students said they came to find out the ins and outs of politics.
Enjoying this?
And there are a few who understand it better than Professor Jim Wright. Tony Clark, CNN, Fort Worth.
Coming up on Newsday in Sports, a controversial play that some say may have stopped the Braves' momentum and helped lift the Twins to a 2-game lead in the World Series.
For those of you who have been reluctant to wear a hearing aid, Miracle Ear has more great news. If you have trouble hearing in noisy situations, the exciting Miracle Ear Clarifier may be your answer. The Clarifier features a special filter that automatically reduces background noise.
In a restaurant situation, it picks up the noises I